morning. What are we talking about today? Well, today's the 4 cornerstones of love. I know, today's the day, people. Today is the day that we talk about the foundation. Okay, this is what it's all about, the foundation of love. If you want to learn and if you want to move into the new paradigm, and I'm telling you now, you really do want to, because you don't want to be stuck in the paradigm of fear where everything is governed and ruled by fear. You really don't want to do that. So let's get going. Let's look at a recap. Again, you can see that should be 4. That should be 4. Let's do a recap. What did we talk about last week? So last week we explored what your idea of love was, where it came from, and who or what shaped it. Again, why is this so important? Because as you bring into awareness your history, your past, your upbringing, and those in it, and the impact that they've had, you can then start to make the changes or the shifts or the healing that it is that you need to be able to then move in a direction that you would like to, for you to then be able to have the thoughts that are helping you and motivating you as opposed to thoughts that are actually impacting you in a way that isn't very helpful, that are actually quite obstructive and getting in the way of what it is that you'd like to do, what it is that your heart truly desires. So your past and understanding it is not so that you can blame anybody. Never is it that we blame anybody for what it is that we've been through. Why? Because there is no healing in blame. What we want to do is we can address it if we want to, but again, even that is not necessarily part of healing. It depends. Let's not take it out of context, because everybody has been through very unique things, but in general, predominantly, the healing takes place within us, for us, by us, with us. Okay, the other person or the persons that may have been involved, they don't actually play that big a part. Not just that. What's happened in quite a few instances that I've been made privy to is that people can go back to those people in the past that have wronged them or that have hurt them or caused great impact and actually not gotten the responses it is that they've deeply needed. They've not gotten the connection they've wanted, or they've not gotten the understanding, or they've not been seen or heard. And what that's done is that's actually hurt even more and made things considerably worse. So when we think we need to go back there, it's not always the case. But like I said, please don't take that out of context. Every experience is quite unique to each person. We then discussed why it was important to reflect upon this. Like I just said, if you do not reflect upon this, you cannot make the changes, you cannot heal, you cannot understand, you cannot build knowledge, which means you cannot respond to your needs. And then you cannot move over to a paradigm of love, because when you are scared, you can't use the energy of love. And if you do not understand in the detail and the depth that you need to what it is that you've been through and how it's impacted you, you're going to remain scared of it. You're going to remain confused by it. You're going to remain a little bit apprehensive of it. And that's not what we want. We want you to embrace it. We want you to sit next to it. We want you to give it a hug. And we want you to understand it deeper than you've ever understood anything in your existence. Now, I used an example last week, didn't I? Yes, about somebody who happened to be a she, and her past, which involved a very early disconnection from her caregivers, I think her parents both, which led to harmful relationship patterns in her romantic relationships and actually platonic throughout her life. And only by exploring and understanding that is she then able to work with it. We never want to work against any part of our bringing any part of our past, any part of our existence. We want to work with it. And you can only work with something when you build knowledge on it. And that's really, really important. We also explored the fact that healthy love for others can only happen with a healthy self-love first. Now, I've got lots of different people saying lots of different things about this one, and I love it. Why? Because people will look at me and go, yeah, but if I don't know how to, or if I can't, I don't understand why that person shouldn't be the one that is meant to give it to me. We're going to talk about stuff like that a lot later on. But no, it doesn't work like that. The person that you are with in a romantic relationship or even a friendship doesn't exist in that relationship to meet your needs, or to see you when you feel like you need to be seen, or to hear you when you feel like you need to be heard, or to understand you even when they don't. That's not what a friendship or a connection or any relationship is there for, actually. It's not there to serve you. It's there to add to your experiences. Is there for you to have a synergy and a flow and a rapport with, but it's not there to respond to your needs. No relationship is in your life apart from when you are a dependent, and those that are caring for you and you are dependent on them are there for you when you need them. Yes, absolutely. But even then, they're not able to be there sometimes, a lot of the time, for emotional needs or for some other needs, even physical for a lot of people. So what's really important is this awareness that the relationships you're having are not meant to be in your existence to serve you. If they do, well, woohoo, that's a bonus, okay? And that's great. And I want you to go to that person or those persons in your life and go and thank them and be really, really grateful for the fact that you have some relationships in your life where those people are able to respond to your needs in the way that you need them to respond. Great. You are blessed. I'd like you to be grateful for that. And I'd like you to say thank you to them. Which, pick up your phone now, please, and send them a message if they have access to a phone. If not, go around there. If you can't, book a flight at some point. Go and visit them. Go and meet them. Give them a big hug and say thank you for being in my existence. Why? Because we are actually here for ourselves and we are responsible for meeting our needs. What we did last week then was concluded with some questions that were sent in, and I posed a question to you. I did, didn't I? I bet nobody remembers what that question was. Do you? And if you do, I'll eat my hat. I don't have a hat. I'll eat my headphones. It's going to hurt, but I'll do it. Now, last week's question was what? Love is built on 4 foundational pillars. What do you believe they are? And why do you choose those in particular? What do they reveal about your understanding of love? Now, if you did have a chance to think about this, then fantastic. Please do pop in the chat what it is that you discovered. And if you didn't, again, remember, same as what I said last week, you don't judge it, but what you do, yes, I did just say do. What you do is understand it. What you do is to look at it, to give you an idea as to what your core values are and why. Okay, now, why is it so important for you to question that? Because I want you to question every single belief that you have. I want you to rip it apart. I want you to throw it about, wallop it a bit and see what happens to it. If it falls apart at the first challenge, well, then there's something not quite right going on. And actually, that's a good thing that it's fallen apart at the first challenge, because it makes you then look at it. Remember, these are core pillars that are holding up everything. And if they fall apart at the first question or the first couple of questions or the first challenge, then your foundation is not solid. And anything that you are now going to build upon it is extremely vulnerable and it's going to crumble. And this is why this question is so important. What is it that your core pillars are? What are those values and what are they based on? And have you ever challenged them? If not, why not? Are you scared? And if you're scared, what are you scared of? Again, face it. Remember, the only way out is through. It's through those fears. It's facing them. It's coming up close with them. It's meeting them face to face. And you might even have to give it a kiss. Yep. You might have to give it a cuddle and stand there for a good while. And I know how frightening that would be, but that's the only way out of the other end through to the paradigm of love, where you are able to be free now to choose love, or if you want, to choose fear. But that freedom can only exist when you go through it. It cannot exist when you're too busy, scared, running away from it, because then the only option you've got is fear. Okay? If you go through it, you'll be free and you'll have now the option of love or fear. Now, how lovely is that, to be out of the prison of fear? Who doesn't want to be out of the prison of fear? Exactly. Now, I got, because I am so lucky and I'm so wonderful, I got some responses in last week, throughout the week, should I say, from people that answered that question and gave me a few bits, which I thought was really good. So, what do they look like for you and why? First person said trust, honesty, respect, and compassion. And they said because without these, love for them feels unsafe and unsteady. They reflect how I see love as a space for growth and vulnerability. I thought that was lovely. There's some good thought put into that. And I tell you what, they're sturdy pillars, aren't they? So that was brilliant. Thank you very much. And then I got one other in as well, which was communication, loyalty, empathy, and freedom. I do like that word, freedom. As to me, love thrives when we are heard, supported, understood, and still allowed to be ourselves. Isn't that beautiful? I really liked those two. So yeah, that's lovely. And again, by bringing, and remember, there's no right or wrong, but by bringing these out, what you're now doing is you're looking at them and you're looking at how robust your core values are. And these core values need to be robust enough for you to build and build and build upon. You are going to build an entire city on these. So they need to be so solid. They need to be so robust that they'll be there holding it all up for an eternity. Well, at least until you close your eyes and never open them again. But I'd say let's go for an eternity. Why not? In for a penny, in for a pound. Man must evolve for all human conflict, a method which rejects revenge, aggression, and retaliation. The foundation of such a method is love. Does anybody know whose quote that is? Let me wait a minute, see if anybody knows. Anybody? Don't Google it. Don't you dare cheat. I'm watching you. Watching you. No? That's actually Martin Luther King Jr. I know. I love that quote. Why? Because it's talking about the ego and it's talking about fear. And what it's talking about is actually everything we are seeing currently being played out in society. The human conflict currently is just awful. The revenge, the aggression, and the retaliation is horrific. And what there is none of in all of that is love. And this is why it's so important that each one of us, everybody who watches this, everybody who's listening right now, please, please, please make a conscious choice to start to choose love in as many moments as you can. Now, a question for reflection for you. And please do have a think. Which of your core values show up most when you are giving or receiving love? What do you notice you use as a default every time you are giving or you are receiving love? Are these values shaped by your upbringing, past relationships, or your own evolving understanding of love? I really like this question, trying to be as unbiased as I can. I like it because it resonates. I can really resonate with this question. My idea of love and what it should look like and the core values that came up were shaped by my upbringing. And my upbringing was in quite a traditional home with, faith playing quite a strong role, which it still does. That made quite a big impact on my life in terms of one of my mum's love languages is acts of service. Both my parents would do absolutely anything for me. And that's a huge love language, massive, anything, drop of a hat, you name it. I know that I have my parents there. Be there. And that was a huge aspect of then the love that I gave. My core value was acts of service. And this is what I thought was like what love was all about. It's only when I then really started to learn about love after I became a psychologist. Is it that I just thought, oh, bloody hell. And again, this is why this is something I'm so passionate about. This is why this message for me is it goes deep into the threads of my existence and into my being and my soul, because actually love and what it is and what it sounds like and what it feels like, and actually the parameters of that, and us behaving from that place, for me is so important, because I've seen, as I've gone out into the world, so much hate, and not towards me, I've been really lucky actually, but there's so much hate, so much fear, so much aggression out there, that it's just really isolating and disconnecting, because who wants to show up, whose little one wants to show up when there's so much anger and aggression out there? They don't. And so what I wanted to be was that love that I was desperately craving. And that's how I learned about it. So for me, the core values that came up was to just be really, really kind to people, and to try and do whatever it is that needed to be done for them to be okay. Those were then impacted by my upbringing. Now it's very different. And again, we're going to go on to what's so different about it, because the values that I talk about and everything I'll talk about in all of my talks is what I now use in the way that I am, in the way that I express love in my relationships and my friendships and with my parents. So what is it for you? What shows up? Where are these values shaped for you? Is it past relationships, or is it genuinely things that you're now understanding as an adult? Because we have access to so much information that it may be. But what that information is doing is it can become really confusing, really, really confusing. Hence why I am sharing a very airtight, a very worked through way of using love. Anyway, I digress. Let us begin with the foundation of love. Here it is. I should have a drum roll really at this point, shouldn't I? Okay, so love isn't built in the air. No, you may think it is, but it isn't. It's rooted deep, and the roots are what hold it steady. The roots are what enable it to weather the storms. These aren't additions, these are the roots. Without them, love cannot grow. No branches, no fruit, no shade. You don't see the roots, but they are doing all of the work. Deep roots create a strong and stable love. Shallow roots leave it constantly vulnerable. If you are feeling constantly vulnerable, understand that your roots in your love for yourself do not go deep. And this is the work. And this is where you would be best focusing and concentrating your energy. And this is the foundation of love. It is the roots. So let's talk a bit about Erich Fromm. This is the dude that transformed my life. I say that, and I mean it. That is not a throwaway comment. I had a profound experience after reading his book, and it genuinely has changed the trajectory of my life and my existence and my thoughts and my values, and then every single way of my being. So from the way that I speak to the way that I think to what I'm doing here now. I wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't for this dude. So thank you very much, Mr. Erich Fromm, who is no longer alive. So may peace be on you, with you, whatever it is we would like peace to be. What he's left behind, I am eternally grateful for and will be. One of his quotes in his book is, love isn't something you fall into, it is something you build. Oh, I really do like that. And it really is. Love is what you build. Now, Erich Fromm was the author of the book that I talk of, The Art of Loving, which was published first in 1956. I thought it was 1953, actually. That's interesting. But 1956, still one of the most important books on relational psychology, and the basis of all of our talks, all of my talks, everything it is that I talk about is based on, the foundation is from this man's work. Erich Fromm was a psychoanalyst, a humanist philosopher, and a social psychologist. He was actually born in Germany in 1900, and then left with the Nazi reign. He defined love as an act of will, commitment, empathy, and growth. He believed love was a skill and not a passive feeling, but a conscious choice. And never a truer word or words have I ever come across. Because in all of the work that I have done with myself, with my clients, with those that I love, this is the most honest and truthful, factual set of words I think I've ever come across. And that really is that love is a skill. It's not a passive feeling. It's a conscious choice that we make in every minute of every day. And the better you get at it, the more conscious you will be. And then the more consciously competent you will be, to the point that one day you will become unconsciously competent. You'll be doing it without even thinking. And that's where we want to get to. Well, that's where I want to get to, which I think I'm doing quite well at getting there, which is why now I'd like to share what it is that I'm doing and why I do it. And it's made me a better person. It's made me a happier person. It's made me a more peaceful person inside. I also have less arguments with my parents. I'll tell you what, it's made me a better daughter. And it really has. And I'm sure my mum would vouch for that if she had the opportunity. So let's look at the foundations of love. There they are. 4, the roots, the core of what love is. Without this, forget it. Love doesn't even exist if you are not playing a part in this. It is your idea of love, and that's fine. There are a trillion ideas of love out there. There are a gazillion poems. There are even more songs. There are books, there are nursery rhymes, and there are all sorts of other things, art that is out there, music. Oh, music. I do love music. There is so much out there that expresses love. But what we do need is like a handbook. And I really do think everybody's reading about everything. They're reading about how to bring up children and exactly how to have each conversation with your child and how to blink and how not to blink and how to breathe and when to breathe. Well, I think there needs to be something out there about what participating in a healthy love looks and sounds like. First for you, and then for whomever it is that you love. So the first is empathy. Now, I'm not going to break them down today because there's a lot to them, but we're going to start just by looking at them really briefly. So empathy is how we relate to ourselves. Yes, I don't care about anybody else right now, because when you are learning about love, nothing to do with anybody else. It's actually what you are able to do in terms of the love that you are now practicing with yourself. So when you are empathic with yourself, how are you relating to yourself? How are you talking to yourself? How are you empathizing and saying, actually, with everything that you've been through, with what you've had growing up, with the things that you didn't have, look at how far you've come. I'm sorry that it's so crap, but I understand why you would be feeling or thinking the way that you are right now. It makes total sense. I really am sorry it's been so crap. You see that? Empathy for ourselves is what we're looking at building. I don't give a shit right now. I really don't. About how much you're able to go around loving everybody else. You don't understand how irrelevant that is. And I tell you that because if we all just woke up and started to do this for ourselves here, the world would transform overnight. Why? Because we would all be responding to our needs. We would all be feeling considerably more peaceful, and everybody would just be nicer to each other. Really? Because they'd be more content. Heaven forbid should we do that. I mean, bloody hell. Anyway, so empathy for ourselves. How empathic are you with yourself? And be honest. On a scale of 1 to 10, if you thought about those that you loved and how empathic you was with them, if that's an 8, where are you with yourself? I bet it's not even over 5. And that's where the work really needs to be done. That's where you need to really, really focus hard. Now, the second pillar, the second core foundational aspect of love is respect. Now, this word gets bandied about out there. Bloody hell. I've heard it so many times, and it's just ripped apart and turned into something that it was never meant to be. It really wasn't. In this aspect, when From talks of respect and when we talk of respect in love, oh, it's beautiful. And that is how we respect our right to be ourselves. Me respecting my right to be me. Whatever it is that I choose, yes, whatever it is I choose, don't take this out of context already and go, well, so everybody's got a right to be however they want. Yes, wait a minute. Don't take it out of context quite yet. There's a lot more to it. But at the moment, what we need to understand is simply this. Respect is what? I have the right to be me. And bloody hell, I do. And you, yes, you have the right to be you. Bloody hell, you do. However, there are consequences to those choices that we make, and we will be privy to those consequences, of course. But I have the right to be me. And if anybody tries to take that right away from me, which, by the way, they have the right to come over to me and try and take my right away from me. Why? Because I'm respecting their right to be them. So when somebody comes over to me and tries to do that, I'll be boundaried about my right to be me. Oh no. How lovely is that? How flowy is that? How just like you can just let go now and go, oh my God, everybody can just be, as they need to be, and I can just be me. And if anybody tries to come to me and take away me, I'm going to go, no, you cannot, and you will not take away me, my right to be me. That's it. That's it. That's respect. If somebody's disrespecting your right, you're just going to go, well, I have the right to be me. And you have the right to disrespect my right. I'm just going to be boundaried about it. Okay. So, and that's my favorite. As you can tell, I'm getting really heated and passionate about it because it really is. Because this, at the moment, is a time where I'm seeing such a fallacy of it's like we're all respecting our rights, but actually most people feel like they just can't be themselves. I say this as a neurodivergent. And everybody's just walking around telling everybody what they can and can't do. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Respect is I have the right to be me. You have the right to be you. If and when you come to me to try and take away my right, I will be boundaried. Meaning I need to learn to be assertive. Yeah, I've got to learn to say no. 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 Anyway, I digress. The third one, my apologies. The third pillar, the third foundation is knowledge. Yes, knowledge. Knowledge is simply this. How can I love you in a healthy, balanced way if I haven't taken the time to get to know you? Now, I'm not talking about get to know you like what's your favorite music genre? What's your favorite hair dye? What's your favorite shoes? Which shop do you like to shop at? Oh, what's your favorite color? Oh, what's your favorite shape? What's your favorite? No, I don't actually care about those things. Love is like, that's great. That's lovely. I'm really glad that your favorite number is 3. I will buy you a t-shirt with the number 3 on it and a bag. Check me out. Yeah, it's got nothing to do with that. Well, the knowledge we're talking about is understanding what that person that you love so dearly needs, what they need, not what you think they need, what they need when they're not okay. Do they need a cuddle? Do they need time out? Do they like space? Do they prefer to go for a walk in the woods and hang out with trees and not be around people? Do they prefer to take their dog out for a walk? Do they prefer to sit and listen to music? Do they prefer to hang around with their friends or go for a night out and get absolutely like off their head? They might want to do other stuff. What is it that they like to do? And why? What do they need when they are not okay? Yeah. And not okay meaning it could be anything. There could be different things. When they're angry, they may need something else. They may need a space to vent in where you just shut your mouth and listen and go, oh God, that sounds awful. Oh God, I'm sorry. Oh, what did you? Oh, okay. That's what they might need. They might just need you to make them right, even if you don't think they are. You just go, yeah, that's awful, awful. Oh God, that's awful. I'm just, yep. And that's what they might need when they're angry. But when they're sad, they might just prefer to be left alone, or they might want you to just shut up and just have cuddles, or they want to go for a walk. I don't know. But this is the knowledge that we're talking about. Is actually when that person or those people or whomever it is that you love so dearly isn't okay or is happy or goes to, I don't know, a theme park or is doing their favorite thing. Or, for example, me, just before I'm doing my talks, what do I like? What do I need? Somebody who loves me will know that. Well, if they're using this analogy and process to follow love, they will know that. And if they're not, they won't. I mean, ultimately, though, that's the knowledge we're looking at building. Now, as I said earlier, actually, someone else I want you to think of second. The person I want you to think of first is you. So now let's turn that back around and go, what do you need when you're sad? How do you need it? What do you need when you're angry? What do you need when you're scared? These questions are so important for you to ask yourself and for you to gather data on, not so that you judge it, not so that you make it mean something ridiculous, which is what most of us do, but so that you can use that to first respond to you, but also to share with your loved ones, those that can use that information in a healthy, balanced way. So in a safe space. But that's what you're building that knowledge for. To be able to respond yourself and to share with those that you love or those that love you. And that's what love would do. So at the end of the day, when we're learning about ourselves, we're learning it so that we can respond to ourselves, but also we're learning it so that we can share that with those who love us. Because I tell you what, people are not mind readers. Well, some might be, but most people that I've met, people are not. Let's just assume they're not mind readers. They're not psychics. Well, let's just assume they're not. Some actually are. But let's just assume they're not psychics. Let's assume they're not mind readers. Let's assume they don't know. Let's assume they don't pick up on hints, because that's ridiculous. You shouldn't be hinting at anybody. If you've got something to say it. Don't hint it. That's just passive. You're being passive. Say what it is you've got to say. Say it in the most balanced possible way, and let them have that data. What they choose to do with it doesn't really matter. You're not giving it to them, so now they have to choose it. You're giving it to them because if they would like to use it, they can. And the final foundational pillar is responsibility. Again, an amazing, amazing pillar and foundation to have. Why? Because responsibility is simply my ability to respond to my needs. I am responsible for responding to my needs, not someone else, unless, as I said earlier, I am a dependent. That's different. Okay, but if I'm an adult functioning in no need of a dependent, of somebody to support me in a particular way, then I am responsible for responding to my needs, not someone else. And that, again, is a tough pill to swallow, but you really need to. It's really important, because when we are participating in a healthy love, we are never, ever expecting anything from anyone. You are not entitled or deserving of anything from anyone, okay? Because that is a very fear-based perspective. Love says, if I get that, great. That is freaking amazing. Not for 1 second am I saying, is it not amazing? It's lovely. And I will be so grateful. I'll be eternally grateful. I'll be like, thank you so much for loving me in the way that I need to be loved, in the way that I can feel it, in the way that I feel seen and heard and understood. Great. But that's not actually their responsibility to do that. Now, if they're participating in love and they're following and they're upskilling themselves in love by using a narrative like this, by using a process like this, then they'll actually be doing that. They'll be building knowledge on you in order for them to be able to respond healthier in a better ways to your needs. And isn't that beautiful that you're doing it for you, they're doing it for themselves, and they're doing it for you, and they're doing it, and you're doing it for them. Oh my God, what a beautiful world. Hence gorgeous. I was going to say utopia, but I don't really want a utopia. I just want people to start using love. And I think we all can. And if we do, we'll become better, nicer, happier, more peaceful. Just people we might want to hang around with. Wouldn't that be nice? So, building a loving relationship with ourselves. We have to start with ourselves, okay? Because we're the one person we cannot escape from. Did you know that? You're the one person you cannot leave. Well, you can in one way, and we really don't want you to do that. We'd like you to take it all the way till the end, till your eyes close and don't open again from whatever causes, natural causes, preferably. We're in our own company 24/7 for life. You are waking up with yourself. You're hanging around with yourself. You're having breakfast with yourself. You're going to the toilet with yourself. You're having a shower with yourself. You're eating with yourself. You're going to work with yourself. You're on the commute with yourself. You are at work with yourself. You're going home with yourself. You're eating again with yourself. You're going to bed with yourself. Why wouldn't that be the relationship you give the most energy to? Why wouldn't it be? It doesn't make sense. It's the only one you can't get away from ever, 24/7. Why would you not be making that your priority? It doesn't make sense. Why are you not becoming aware of the conversations that you're having with yourself? Because they're impacting you in every second of every day. And so when I talk about love, I'm not talking about you loving everybody else out there yet. Not yet. Not until you have learned to love yourself in a healthy way first. If that relationship isn't rooted in love, then you will never truly be at peace, ever. So please understand that. Your peace is not dependent on what you have outside of you. It's actually dependent on the relationship that you're having with yourself right now. It's dependent on the language you're using right now. It's dependent on the way that you talk to yourself, in how you support yourself, in the safe space that you are holding for yourself. Not someone else, for yourself. Now, when we love from a place of lack, we seek validation from others. When we love from wholeness, we offer truth by being authentic, as we are no longer in need. So when you are lacking inside, you are desperately seeking validation from others. And this is what makes you so frustrated and upset when those others are not responding to your needs. It's not them, it's you. And the minute that we can understand that, and the minute we can face that, we can start to work with it. And this is what love says. Fear doesn't say this. Love says that. Love says you are respondable. Well, it is respondable, isn't it? You are responsible for responding to your needs. And when you do that, you'll have much more fulfilling relationships with others. And when that relationship, or if that relationship is no longer fulfilling, if it doesn't make you feel at peace or safe or whatever it is, if you are just no longer happy, you'll do whatever it is that you need to do. Self-love is not selfish. It's the root system that sustains every other connection that you will try to grow. We must use it. We must live by it. We must embody it moment by moment. Okay? Self-love is actually the thing that will make the world a better place. Because as you love yourself, you are being more authentic. You are more grounded. You are more at peace. And what do you think happens when someone is feeling grounded, is feeling peaceful, is feeling content? Do you think they go around being an asshole to others? No. They actually just go around being considerably content. They are naturally quite happy. And that's what happens when everyone just goes around loving themselves first. You don't get a society full of narcissists and assholes. That's not actually what a narcissist is. No. What you get is a society full of quite content, happy, peaceful, loving, inclusive, connected, gorgeously helpful people. Heaven forbid. Who'd want that? How selfish is that? It's not just how we feel. It's about how we think, how we speak, how we act, and what we become. You have the opportunity to go out today and participate in the world with another and just be a little bit more loving, first with yourself and only then with them. And if you do not love them, or they're doing your head in, or you're just like freaking hell, then you don't need to be loving towards them. You just need to be one thing, and that's respectful, because then you are still acting from love. Respectful is what? You have the right to be you and I have the right to be me. And right now you're doing my head in so much that me is going to leave. Thank you very much. Goodbye. That's what love would do. It would not go, you mustn't be you. Love would never do that. Fear would. Okay, so that's all I'm going to give you on that for now, because I'd like it to absorb, I'd like it to digest, and I'd like you to really ponder on it. Think long and hard. So I'll give you a question that was sent in by, who was that? It was by Louise. And I like this question, actually. There was a few in. This one was a great one. Why? Because it's one that's asked quite often. How do I start building that kind of love for myself if I've never felt it before? Mate, that's a really good question. I like that. It's quite deep. Do you know what? Very common. And what I will say is a lot of people haven't necessarily felt it. So you're not alone in that, Louise. What we want to do is we want to be able to start to go, right, my relationship with myself is the most important. I am going to start to practice and work within the foundations of love. So the first thing I want to do is to learn to build a safe space within me. And I will love me and talk to me and respond to me in the ways that I do currently, that I do with those that I truly love, with those that mean the world to me, and with those that make me feel seen, heard, and understood. How do they treat you? So you're going to ask yourself that question. Somebody outside of you who makes you feel seen, heard, and understood. Friend, distant aunt, maybe even someone on TV, maybe even an influencer, I don't know, or a character on TV. But whoever it is, I want you to go, well, what is it about the way that they are speaking, or the things that they are saying, or their body language, or their tone of voice, that is making me feel safe, loved, accepted? And what you're going to do is start to bring that into your safe space within you. Within you, meaning you start to look at and notice and observe what kinds of conversations you're having with yourself. What kinds of thoughts, what kinds of feelings are being motivated by those thoughts? Are they kind thoughts? Are they judgmental thoughts? Are they dismissive? Are they sarcastic? Or are they just mean? How do you talk to yourself? And these things is where you would start on building that kind of love for yourself. I hope that makes sense. But we're going to talk about that in a lot more detail anyway. So I'll be covering a lot more of this. But I really like that question. Okay, so I wanted to pull a card, right? So like I said, I've got these cards. They're really cool. I'm going to shuffle these cards and I'm just going to read one out quickly. What's one piece of advice that's not as helpful as people think it is? Oh, I like that. Bloody hell. I think the answer for me to that one would be, what love would say is probably this. When two people are having an argument, I often hear people telling me that they walk away and then they remember things that they wish they'd said. And people say, do you know what? You've got to stand there and you've got to stand your ground and you've got to say your piece and you need to be boundaried and you need to be assertive. And they kind of tell you about how to be in an argument. And actually, it's a bit like what I said a few weeks ago. Love doesn't argue, because love respects that other person's right to be exactly as they are. So an example might be if I've got a client who says to me, Yazz, I really don't like the fact that you don't finish words properly. Like you don't, add the T at the end of, I don't know, unjust. or that you speak with a bit of an accent and also your nose is a little bit big. And I get quite offended every time you turn to the side because I feel disgusted. Now, a myth in society is that I should stand there and tell them about themselves and how dare they speak to me that way and they don't have a right and I'm entitled and I deserve to be respected and spoken to better. Ridiculous. That is not what love says. Sorry. Love says this. Love says you have every right to be you. You have every right to be deeply offended by my accent. You have every right to be deeply offended by my nose. You really do. I mean, sometimes I get offended by it. At least you don't have to look at it every day. I do. Every day. So you have every right to be offended and not like it. And what I say to you is, what would you like to do about that? Do you see? That's where it finished. I don't need to argue with you. I don't need to make you wrong because actually that is your truth. You are offended by my nose. And that's not even your fault. That's because you probably grew up and there was somebody really mean and they had a nose that represents a little bit of mine. And now every time you look at it, you get offended because you're reminded of them. So it's not even like your fault and it's not even my fault, but it is what it is. And all we want to do is find a solution. So I'm just going to look at you and go, buddy, I'm sorry about that. Like, really, I am. And I'm sorry about my accent. But again, that's where I was brought up and this is how I speak. And although I can try, I don't do very well speaking in any other way. And so I would just go, well, what do you want to do? You can carry on with me or you can leave or it's up to you, buddy. And they're going to go, oh. And I'm going to go, yeah, you're all right. That's okay. It's a shame. And that's it. Now my little one might feel a bit hurt and I'll go, oh, baby, I'm sorry. And that's okay too. But that's my responsibility, remember? Because love says it's my responsibility to respond to my needs. And if that meanie said something to you that felt meanie, it's okay. Okay, there you go. So that's a massive myth. Stand up for yourself. You deserve better. But you're entitled. You've got to say your piece. Don't let them. They're not allowed to speak to you like that. Actually, people do have the right to say what they'd like to say to me if that's how they feel and they're being authentic. Don't take this out of context. Again, if you take this out of context and put it in an entirely different world situation, you'll turn it into something that you're going to want to troll. Let's not go down that road because that's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying right now is if somebody said that to me, that's how I'd be doing it. And that's a huge myth, huge myth that I noticed. Closing thoughts. Next week, I will further break down the 4 core pillars and I will break them down in detail and you'll get to understand a lot more of them. The very foundation of love itself. A question that I'd like to leave you with: what gets in the way of me respecting, understanding, or showing up for myself? And how does that affect me? I like that one. Have a think about that. Join me next week and I will go considerably deeper and you will learn considerably more. Thank you very much for joining me. You can book in for the same time next week using the link below. Send me any questions that come up for you or anything you'd like to share next week, and I will see if I can get that done for you.